San Antonio, how are we doing? Good morning and happy Sunday. Welcome to church, baby. This is the Fantasy Gods. I am your host, Brandon Big Poppy Medina, and I got my main man, the best producer in the biz, Mr. Joe Garcia. How we doing, sir?
Doing good, man. Doing real good today. We had some great games that came out yesterday as far as the NFL preseason goes.
We did.
Week 3 of 4.
Yeah, that's right. Week 3 of 4. We had a fun time, man. There was a lot of standouts, some starters getting some burn. Today's show is going to be all about burning and turning when it comes to picks. It's going to be all about those sleepers and some nasty picks that when you select these players, you feel like you need a shower. They're disgusting, but they might be fantasy relevant. They're players that maybe have burned you in the past, players that maybe you wouldn't take otherwise, but I'm going to make a case for them as we go on with the show. Now, with that, we want to give some love to our wonderful sponsors as well. We have Mudslingers, who is your favorite place for coffee. It's a drive-through coffee shop here in San Antonio. They are incredible. They have the mini donuts. They have your caramel macchiatos, cinnamon bun avalanches. Look at the picture. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff over at Mudslingers. Why would you go anywhere else for your coffee? It's a beautiful morning. It's Sunday morning. You got a lot to look forward to in the week. We have a lot of schools starting school, and so if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, go to Mudslingers, wake yourself up, get ready for another school year. We also have Bear County Social Apparel, man. My boys at Bear County Social Apparel, I buy all of my San Antonio related merch through them. They are incredible, whether it's the Spurs, UTSA, whether you're following anything in San Antonio, they are your one-stop shop. They are incredible people. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them all over social media. Go check them out. They also have the Wemby de Guadalupe shirt that me and Joe absolutely need in our closet. It is incredible stuff. As the Spurs season continues, coming October, expect more really, really cool gear for your Spurs season from Bear County Social Apparel. And, of course, our boys at Matt Pecker Brewing Company. Are you a drinker? I'm a drinker. It's already 11 a.m. I feel like it's 5 o'clock anywhere, right, Joe?
5 o'clock somewhere.
So let's go ahead and have a drink with Matt Pecker Brewing. We're going to be out there August 27th, which is going to be next Sunday. You do not want to miss it. We'll talk more about that later. But Matt Pecker Brewing has everything from your fried mushrooms to your fried cheese bites. Lots of IPAs and L's, sours, lagers, and more. Oh, my. It is incredible stuff at Matt Pecker Brewing. And we are looking forward to being out there and having a few drinks, maybe sampling a little too much. We'll have Rudy DD us, who's not with us today, but me and Joe will definitely be having a fun time at Matt Pecker Brewing. Go check them out. Make sure you follow them on social and go grab a drink today. It is Sunday. Now, we are talking sleepers and nasty picks. Guys, these are the ones. I'm not talking sleepers that everybody's talking about. Everybody knows about Calvin Ridley. Everybody knows about, Dallas Goedert or Darren Waller or these players that people continue to talk about, continue to profess their love for on all social media platforms, whether it's your boy Matthew Berry, whether it's the fantasy footballers, whether it's ESPN and Phil Yates and Daniel Dopp. I know. Listen, I'm a fan first, right? I'm a degenerate fantasy football player and gambler second, right? Close second. But with that, let's get into the show. I know before we do, Joe, you mentioned preseason week. When you called me the other day, your boy was betting on preseason. I don't know many people betting on preseason, but your boy's one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, man. He's over here betting on preseason. But, week 3 of 4 was kind of interesting. You had some good games and you had some disappointments. Once again, Cowboys fans disappointed, against the Seattle Seahawks, because what happens out of the gate, man? You start, you got fall behind it real early on. Yep. It's 3-0, right? Seahawks up against the Cowboys. Then you get some hope, you get some, things moving, and hey, Cowboys are in this. It's a game.
Yeah.
Get at the goal line, dude. Picks. That's where the picks started.
That's right.
It was all about picks, dude, and it got nasty. And then who was helping the QB? Giving him some, trying to coach him up a little bit.
Your favorite QB in the league, baby.
Dak Prescott. I'm like, Dak, no mames, way. Get off of here, man.
Get out of here, man.
Get out of here, dude.
Hey, I will say, though, Jalen Tolbert looked really, really good. A player that a lot of players took shots on in fantasy last year. Could be a sleeper if you're in a dynasty league, a best ball league, possibly something like that. I still think, obviously, realistically, going to be 5th when it comes to options, if anything, behind CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Tony Pollard, and most likely Michael Gallup, of course. The Seahawks, though, man, I'll tell you what. Sir Roderick Thompson, a.k.a. Texas Tech great, had a good week. 50 yards and a touchdown over there. Zach Charbonnet got some looks. Gino Smith got some run as well. We were able to see a little bit more to Drew Lock, had 119 yards passing. Jackson Smith and Jigba looks like he is the real deal over there as a wide receiver. Man. I mean, he could possibly sneak in. We'll talk a little bit about the Seahawks when it comes to the sleeper talk, but I know the Seahawks are definitely in that conversation. It almost feels like every year they're kind of disrespected in fantasy, right? I feel like every year DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett are always super like mid-round picks, and then they end up being your wide receiver twos for the rest of the year because of just the way this offense is ran.
Man, Charbonnet impressed me on some plays yesterday, man. He was able to go ahead and just stay in bounds, even though he got that hit.
Yep.
Tippy toe. He got a couple more yardage on the play, and I think that happened more than on one occasion. So you know what?
Talented.
He's a talented guy, man.
No, he is. He really is. And someone we talked about too before we get into our sleeper conversation, dude. Texas fans, UT fans. I don't like to give y'all props. I really don't, right? I'm a Texas Tech grad, number one in my heart. But Bijan Robinson looks for real. I mean, Bijan Robinson is going to be somebody that I think we are really, really going to be talking about. His first run out the gate almost took it to the house, gets shoestringed and falls to the ground. Just very shifty, really quick with his movements. The only concern I think myself, Joe, Rudy, who's not here today, but most of us have here at the Fantasy Gods is he's not built for a bell cow back. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's a smaller dude, not super big. Now, we've seen it work before, but I will say you don't want to see this guy get ran into the ground either first few seasons. But when you're a Falcons team, it seems like he's going to get ran into the ground as it goes. So
he's going to have a lot of tread on the tire.
A lot of tread. Listen, he better get some BF Goodrich tires because
he's going to have to start. He's going to start the season with a lot of tread on the tire, and by the end of the season, he's going to be one of those tires you pick up over here at like Mike's Tires Repair or something. All bald and shit. Yeah, dude, all bald and nasty as they put it.
Yeah, but he's going to be getting tires next to the Valero or Marbach. I'm telling you.
Over here right across the street from John Chee.
Yes, sir. Come on now. But with that, let's talk about some sleepers, man. These are the players that not everybody's talking about. You might have heard one or two, but mostly I'm trying to keep it pretty late rounds to mid rounds. We're going to start off in the running back position. I have two players I really want to talk about. Two players that I think are going to be really, really helpful. So in fantasy football, there's three ways of drafting, right? You can draft wide receiver heavy and go 0 RB. Now, 0 RB usually tends to be you're taking wide receivers off the board quick. So your 2 wide receivers and your flex. If you're in a 3 wide receiver league, even more. But when it comes to 0 RB, you're not drafting a running back till very late, till 4th, 5th, 6th round, if that. And so with that, here's some players that you can find in and about those rounds that I think will be really, really fantasy valuable. And somebody that I think is going to be great this year because they have an absolute dog shit of a team is Mr. James Conner and the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, we don't know if he's coming back. We know he's coming back for sure in the season. When? Who knows? He said maybe week 1. If somehow Call of Duty has another game coming out, he's not coming back at all because the dude only plays Call of Duty and never watches film. But Kyler Murray himself knows that his legs are not going to be what they might used to be, especially coming back from his injury. There's going to be some timidness there to be running on with the ball. I think James Conner has some positive TD regression in a positive way, right? So he had 7 touchdowns last year. The year before, James Conner had 15 touchdowns, was a monster for the Cardinals. He has little to no competition. Chase Edmonds is gone. You look at Hollywood Brown, he's the only other person getting targets. I think James Conner could very much play an Aaron Jones role, what he did with Green Bay, where it's a lot of running out of the back and then also catching little passes to help out because good old boy Colt McCoy most likely will be starting, the good old Texas boy over there at the Arizona Cardinals. And I think James Conner really is going to be a talented back. He was the running back 19 last year, and it was only because he missed a few games, which is to be expected with James Conner, and had only 7 touchdowns. If we can get even 9 to 10 touchdowns on James Conner, and you can get the same yardage, same amount of games played, we're talking about a running back that can finish within the top 13, within the top 15 for sure. That is a good running back too, and possibly someone, if he gets even near, 11, 12 touchdowns, now we're talking about possibly top 10 appeal with James Conner. So I'm really big on James Conner, especially in a 0 RB set. Another running back that we're going to continue moving forward with is somebody who I think people forget about because of the injuries. Somebody people forget about because of the what ifs and what could have happened and all that good stuff. And I don't like playing in that scenario only because anything can happen in fantasy football, and we've seen him be fantasy relevant, especially last year. I love Cam Akers this year. Cam Akers is somebody I'm targeting throughout every draft. He's going pretty late. When you look at running backs in this year's draft, especially I'm looking at PPR specifically, Cam Akers is going right there around, Dalvin Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Alexander Madison, James Cook. Alexander Madison could have a big year for the Vikings, but they also have Tyson Chandler and a few others who might be getting some work there too. But when you look at it, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Dalvin Cook, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery, I think the talent is there for Cam Akers. From week 13 on last year, he was the running back 5. Week 13 on, he had this crazy stretch of games, 17.3 per game, just absolutely dominant. It was killing it. He did have the Achilles tear in 2021. That scares people off. That pushes people off of Cam Akers. And hopefully that encourages you to take a chance. You're not losing on much. He's 24, prime age. And now being back to full health, being back from the ankle, the Achilles, all that good stuff. I think he has a receiving role. I mean, Joe, you tell me, besides Cooper Kupp, how many other players are getting that ball? I think Cam Akers has a really, really good shot at being a PPR monster.
Yeah, man, he really does, dude. I mean, you look at everything that the Cowboys have as far as their weapons, man, and he is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah. Well, I mean, and I think the Rams as a whole have just weapons that need to be used that we haven't figured out, right? Van Jefferson, we don't know what's happening yet with him. He could be a very big sleeper later on in the year, someone you could get off the waiver wire. I think Cam Akers is somebody who played 73% of the snaps week 13 on, right? Was dominant week 13 on. And when it comes to depth chart, not much competition. Again, there's a small added risk because of injury possibly, but overall, Cam Akers, a solid running back with a lot of upside. Now, before we go on to more, talk about our sponsors, sir.
Yeah, we got to talk about our sponsors, man.
Come on,
so let's
baby.
go ahead and put them up on here.
Give some love, man. Give some love. We'll start out this time with good old Bear County Social Apparel, who are, again, your number one stop shop, brother, for all things San Antonio, Texas. You got Spurs gear. You got UTSA gear. You got gear just from any sayings around San Antonio. I mean, they are the best in the business at making sure that they absolutely lock in whatever is trending that week. I just saw one, I believe, who was it? The Brooklyn Nets did their season announcement, and they were trying to get people who didn't know basketball to guess the logos.
Nice.
And they said that the Spurs logo was an exploding, what did they say? An exploding firework or something. And I think so. Man. I know the Bear County Social Apparel made a shirt just based off of that. They're really good at staying with trending topics, man. Bear County Social Apparel is all over social media. Go check them out on Twitter. First off, they are an absolutely incredible Twitter follow. You got to go check them out. They have everything from Wemby shirts. We have the season coming around for the Spurs, man, in October. So make sure you go get your Wemby shirts. They do have it. Oh, it's called the Exploding Field Goal. Go get the Exploding Field Goal shirt from the Spurs on Bear County Social Apparel. And then we also have Mudslingers over here in San Antonio. And Mudslingers has the alien drink, the best drink in all of San Antonio, as well as the best coffee in San Antonio. Why would you go anywhere else but Mudslingers, your number one stop shop for drive-through coffee? They are incredible. The mini donuts have your boy never going to be able to lose weight as I'm going to Mudslingers, but I don't need to because my body is happy. I'm treating myself to good coffee and good treats over at Mudslingers. Make sure you go check them out. We also have our boys at Mad Pecker Brewing Company. They are our main title sponsor. Mad Pecker is your spot for drinking, enjoying food, the best brew pub in the great Northwest neighborhood, right there on Tesla Road. Make sure you go check them out. The food there, dominant. The drinks there, dominant. You want L's, you got it. You want IPAs, you got it. You want cold, ice cold draft beer, you got it. They have everything from your fried pretzels, your fried cheeses, all the best appetizers and incredible sandwiches. Go try their chicken sandwich and burger. Absolutely decadent. And pizza. I mean, great vibes, great food, immaculate drinks. Mad Pecker Brewing. Go check them out there on Tesla Road. So we will continue with our sleepers.
Yeah, I was going to tell you too, man. I was tripped up here. You were talking about Cam Akers, and I was talking about Cowboys. I meant the Rams.
The Rams,
as far as what their talent goes, what they have. But when you're talking about Cam Akers, and you're looking at him as an RB, right, running back, you're going to go ahead and draft him. What are the other running backs that you are kind of maybe sleepers a little bit, maybe under the radar, maybe some picks that you can look at, maybe like somebody like a James Cook, maybe an Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah, no, and listen, James Cook is a nice value too. He's going around that same time as Cam Akers. My only thing is the Buffalo Bills running back one is Josh Allen. I mean, he's
no doubt.
He's going to be taking touchdowns from you. He's going to be making moves. It's funny to see. Did you know that Dalvin Cook's name, his brother, is Dalvin James Cook, and his name is James Dalvin Cook?
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, bro. Parents, get more creative, right? Get more creative. But James Cook is the new cook in town to definitely be looking at. Dalvin Cook is only going to be giving you, I would say, truly, maybe 6 weeks of really, really good fantasy play. And I think eventually talent wins out, and Breece Hall is going to be the running back moving forward after that, or a split backfield, which you want no part of in fantasy. But James Cook, great call out, Joe. James Cook is going to be somebody that you can definitely look at. There's not much competition there. You had Devin Singletary move on to Houston, who really had a stranglehold on that position for no reason. He wasn't that great, but he was a viable running back. James Cook can catch. He can play. He can run. He's a bigger back, so I think he could definitely get some goal line work. But you will have games where James Cook, let's say, has 12 or 11 rushes for 60 yards and a catch for 5, and he doesn't have a touchdown because Josh Allen runs it in, or because Stephon Diggs takes one, or because Gabe Davis takes one long, or any of that. And the defense is pretty solid, so I could see the defense having games where they're just super dominant, and then the offense is super quick with their passing game. So they're not going to be playing from behind very much. So James Cook is not going to get much run late. Don't expect him to get garbage time runs unless they are up by a mile and they don't want to pass and be disrespectful. But I think James Cook is somebody you could still lock in. I have him slotted more as an RB2, not as an RB1.
Not in one.
Yeah, but I think Cam Akers and James Conner could definitely play that late fringe RB1 if you need it. If you're looking to go 0 RB in your draft, those are two that I'm targeting.
The one thing that I liked about James Cook, though, is I was looking at some of the stats from last year when it comes to fantasy football, right? And he was ranked first in explosive run rate, with a minimum of 70 carries.
He is explosive, man. He really is. And he's a second-round pick. You have the buy-in value from the team, right? He's definitely a breakout candidate. I think he just the goal line is tough. You have Josh Allen. You also have Damian Harris, who stole a lot of Ramondre Stevenson's goal line work in New England. So I think, again, RB2, no problem. If he's a flex target, even better, right? If he's your RB3, even better. But if you're going 0 RB in the draft, look at him. He's also going around, though, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, who's a clear number 1 for a Vikings offense that we know uses the running back. He's also going with David Montgomery, who might be getting touchdowns quite a bit with the Lions. He's going there with Alvin Kamara. If you want to sit for 3 weeks and just waiver wire add anybody to fill that, Alvin Kamara will be back after suspension and could be somebody who's definitely viable for fantasy football. So those are definitely names to keep a lookout. My 2 were James Conner, Cam Akers, but I do think James Cook is definitely an add in there to look out for. Another one we talked about a little bit. Going to wide receivers, brother. Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett is explosive. He is the definition of explosive. We're talking about this. Check this out. Tell me how this makes sense, brother. Tyler Lockett, right? Same QB as last year. Right? Similar opportunities. Jackson Smith and Jigba will be there as well. So maybe a little bit of a drop in shares, target shares. He finished wide receiver 13 last year. Is being drafted as wide receiver 30 this year. That is a massive drop-off where I don't think the value has dropped off. Tyler Lockett gets it done. Gino Smith will help Tyler Lockett continue to get it done. Tyler Lockett is almost QB-proof. I mean, the dude is dominant. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett each are going to have a top 20 season like they always do, like you should expect. It's somebody I really like. This is more going towards if you're doing – we have talked about 0 RB. There's rosters called Hero RB, where maybe you're a guy that, damn, these running backs are going off the board fast, and you take 2 off the board, right? You take it with your first and your second pick because you got Joe coming up behind you that's just taking every running back he can, right? Just people are eating running backs like the mini donuts from mudslingers, right? So if that's the case and you want to go Hero RB, which means you're taking more running backs than any other position, Tyler Lockett is a viable wide receiver 2 and fringe wide receiver 1, especially if you're in a 12-person league. I think Tyler Lockett could have some mega big games. Now, here's the Tyler Lockett situation, though. You're going to have a 30-point game, a 32-point game, but you're also going to have a 6-point game and a 7-point game. You got to be able to take the goods with the bads. It's like marriage, Joe, right? Tell him, baby, you've been married for a while. There's ups and downs.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
for the long haul.
At the end of the day, till death do us part. And me and Tyler Lockett are like this till death do us part. So I love Tyler Lockett. And another name I want to shout out, one that nobody likes, Joe. It's a nasty one, and I apologize, but someone I think could be really good.
CeeDee Lamb.
No. Listen, he's far gone by the time these guys get to over here. I like, you ready for this, dude? It's a dirty one. I'm telling you right now. Courtland Sutton from the Denver Broncos.
Oh.
Courtland Sutton is going behind. This is behind, okay? Michael Pittman, Odell Beckham, Michael Thomas, and Brandon Cooks, right? He's going with Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is the third target on a Seahawks offense that had 2 top 20 wide receivers. Courtland Sutton, I think, has an opportunity. Now, he finished wide receiver 43 last year. He's being drafted right around that, right? He's being drafted. You're getting him at market value at one of his worst seasons, right? Not kind of injuries. You're getting him at market value at one of his worst seasons. If he even has a little bit more of a touchdown opportunity, here's the interesting part. I looked it up, dude. Near the goal line, right? Near the goal line, among wide receivers, he has 13 end zone targets just in 2022. That's 5th among all wide receivers.
Yeah.
If we can get that touchdown rate to go up a little bit, not even a little bit, just an average amount, right? If he finishes with 7 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, we're talking about a dominant wide receiver at your wide receiver 2 and can be there for your wide receiver 1. I wouldn't suggest it. This is a sleeper, so you can hopefully get somebody to fill that wide receiver 1 position. This is somebody that's more wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. But Courtland Sutton has Jerry Jeudy. He has Samaje Perine until Javonte Williams comes back. Jerry Jeudy is good, and he runs incredible routes, and healthy, he's dominant. Courtland Sutton is the wide receiver 2 for Russell Wilson. We forget about this guy. Russell Wilson, he had an awful season, right? Absolutely dog trash, right?
Let's ride.
Basura. Let's ride, Denver, right? What do you call himself? Mr. Infinity, or what? He had some. He's the most cringeworthy quarterback in the league.
And don't
right?
forget his workouts where everybody's asleep on the plane.
Oh,
bro.
It was Mr. Unlimited. That's what he used to say, Mr. Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited has been limited in Denver. And I think Courtland Sutton, though, has an unlimited amount of potential to definitely dominate that wide receiver room. Now, is he going to be a weekly starter? I think possibly. I would say he's a wide receiver that either is your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Wait on it, see how he looks during the season. But Russell Wilson has had 2 very good wide receivers and has made both fantasy relevant. Jerry Jeudy will be the number 1 there, but I can see Courtland Sutton having a really good share. And if he stays with that many targets, 13 targets in the red zone in 2022, and we can just have 6 to 7 touchdowns, we're talking about a very good wide receiver that could be viable for fantasy football.
He's a big gamble, dude. Because
he's a gamble.
The one thing, though, I think the saving grace would be if you want to go ahead and gamble, you go ahead and pick him, because you look at what Sean Payton can do for the team as far as their offense goes.
Yeah.
Denver's offense last year was not the best, especially with Russell Wilson, at the helm there. It's QB1. But I think Sean Payton is the difference maker. So if you really want to roll the dice with Courtland Sutton, that might be something that's really, like you said, worth a look, man.
It's worth a look at least. So, I mean, just looking at it right now, James Conner, who I talked about, is going in the 6th round. Yeah. Live draft trends for ESPN. I'm looking at it right now. James Conner, 6th round, right? You look at Cam Akers, 8th round. That's value.
Yeah,
you're not getting any. I mean, that's value. Tyler Lockett is also going in that 7th, 8th round, 6th to 8th round area. Dude, Courtland Sutton, we're talking about a player that is getting drafted. I'm looking at it right now. This is the live draft trends on ESPN. Feel free. Go check it out. This is all live draft trends on ESPN right now. He's going at pick number 98.
Jeez, dude, that's somebody that's definitely going to be there for you.
I mean, he's going with Treylon Burks, Odell Beckham, Michael Thomas. You have right now, look at the draft trends. This could be wild drafting. You have Evan McPherson from Cincinnati, a kicker. Cortland Sutton, you're drafting him at his absolute floor. You're drafting him at the basement, below the floor.
Yeah.
If he can even be a good wide receiver 3 or a flex target, isn't that great value, Joe?
It is great value, man.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Because at the end of the day, fantasy football is all about the numbers, man. And you can't always have top tier talent. You got to mix it up.
You got to mix. It's about consistency. Who is giving you the 10 to 12 points that you need to get that edge over somebody? And if you're taking Cortland Sutton that late and you're doing the hero RB, you should have 2 to 3 great running backs that you can start splurging on wide receivers late for the upside. And hopefully you already have a quarterback like a Mahomes, a Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, a Herbert, a Fields that can kind of give you that edge, because quarterbacks matter in fantasy football, man. They really, really do. If they can have a big week, you don't need Cortland Sutton to give you 30. Just give you 10, baby. Give you something.
Yeah. You know what was interesting there? The name that you brought up, Odell Beckham Jr. You're picking him in your fantasy, man. And you know what? I felt sorry for him the other day, dude, because I forgot he was playing with the Colts now, right?
It was Baltimore, the Ravens.
Yeah, that was Ravens. That's what it was. Yeah.
I mean, Odell is always going to be a pop culture icon for the catch.
Yeah.
But besides the catch and that year, I mean, really, why is he so high? I mean, why are we so excited for him all the time?
Hype because of those
the
plays,
name. Man. The name still has value.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, somebody in your draft will be excited to draft Odell Beckham, and maybe this is the offense that he can be great on, right? Lamar Jackson's never had a legitimate wide receiver one that's been awesome for fantasy, because Lamar Jackson doesn't pass a lot. He's a running back in a quarterback's body. And then we have J.K. Dobbins, who's coming back healthy, hopefully, that maybe he gets even more running opportunities. This is a run-first offense, great defense. Wide receivers don't see much targets. Hollywood Brown was very mediocre there and okay. So, I mean, it's a tough offense. But what's not tough are our wonderful sponsors. One more time, let's give it up for good old Mud Slingers Drive-Through Coffee Shop. I'm telling you now, it is 11:32, right? Joe, probably a little hungover, could use some Mud Slingers coffee.
I could use some coffee.
You know what I mean? You could use some coffee. We're all tired here, but it's Sunday. You got work tomorrow, man.
I'm coming off a night of drinking with, watching UFC Fight Night with my boys.
So I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Me and my boy just did ceramic coating on my truck, and that took God forever. And so we were there late into the night, and Mudslingers Coffee was definitely a spot I need to go hit up right after. That's going to be your favorite coffee shop in San Antonio. Mini Donuts, the Alien based off of Wemby, an awesome drink, and of course all your caramel macchiatos, your normal coffees, espressos, and your cinnamon bun avalanche. Go try them out. Why would you go anywhere else? Bexar County Social Apparel, the homies over at Bexar County Social Apparel. If you haven't seen my Spurs shorts that I wore, I promise you I'm wearing them a lot more when the season comes up. I'm wearing them to every Spurs game. They are so cool. The best shorts, shirts, everything pop culture within San Antonio. You got UTSA Athletics. You got the San Antonio Spurs. Hell, you even got, what's our football team again? Brahmas. You got the Brahmas, right? XFL. The Brahmas have an opportunity to be a top selling shirt on Bexar County Social Apparel because they make the best shirts. So if you're a Brahmas fan, if you're a Spurs fan, if you are a UTSA fan, anything in San Antonio you can think of, go check out Bexar County Social Apparel. Great people, better merchandise. If you follow me on Twitter at Big Poppy Brennan M, I am talking to them almost every day because I love their stuff, love their tweets. They're a great follow. Go check them out. Mad Pecker Brewing, our title sponsor. Do you like beer? Me and Joe like beer. Me and Joe need a beer now.
Yeah.
So Mad Pecker Brewing might be the stop after this. But Mad Pecker Brewing is our title sponsor. Everything from IPAs and L's, your drafts, your fried mushrooms, fried cheese bites. If you're hungry, Mad Pecker. You're thirsty, Mad Pecker. If you want to black out with Joe and Brandon Medina for the Fantasy Gods, Mad Pecker. I'm telling you right now, that's where we're going to be. So we will be there August 27th. We're going to have hopefully a fun draft. To those interested, hit up myself or Joe. You can hit me up at Big Poppy Brennan M. Joe, what is it? Is it going to be the two shots?
Oh, yeah, man.
Your Twitter?
Yeah,
right? Two shots podcast. Make sure you go check them out. Go hit up Joe, hit up myself if you're interested. We can make sure we can lock you in for that fantasy football draft. But August 27th, regardless, fantasy football or not, come out with us to Mad Pecker. We're going to be having drinks, food. We'll buy you around, and we'll have a good time. Mad Pecker Brewing is the proud sponsor of the Fantasy Gods. So, Joe, a couple of good picks there, right? We got James Conner, Cam Akers, Tyler Lockett, Cortland Sutton, late picks.
Yeah, late picks.
Let's go even later.
You're talking about third?
I'm talking about late. I'm talking about it's the lights have already popped up on the street late, right? Mama's calling you inside already.
So you went through round one, round two. Now you're going like round four.
No. We're talking later.
Dang.
We are talking, according to ESPN's live draft trends, pick number 120, Daddy. Ooh. We're talking round 11, 12, late. Damn. We just talked about it. You brought up Odell. Right? You brought up Odell.
Hey, man.
I'm not going to pick Odell. Trust me. Not right now.
The funny thing is, I was just reading a headline, right? Yahoo Sports puts Odell Beckham Jr., the $200 million man who wasn't. Gets another shot.
I'm telling you, dude. Here we go. Let's talk about somebody who might be, right? We're going to stick with the Ravens. It's not Rashad Bateman. It's not Odell Beckham. It is Zay Flowers, the first-round pick this year, rookie wide receivers sometimes will hit, right? Now, do they always hit? No. Does every wide receiver run a 4.42? No. This dude has wheels. He has absolutely been a standout in camp. Go read any camp reports from the Ravens. He's very much coachable. He stopped dropping balls. He had a really bad catch rate. He had a 68% catchable ball rate, which was super low in the rookie class, but I think he's definitely worked on that. He's handled that. You're looking at somebody who is definitely going to be possibly the wide receiver one in Baltimore. And when you're drafting this late, you're not drafting wide receiver threes. You're drafting people who have upside, right? Because the thing is, if you're taking someone like Zay Flowers, 11th, 12th round, right? Usually your drafts are only 16 rounds, right? With kickers and defenses. Somebody that late, Joe, if they don't work out, you can drop them and you lose nothing.
You never know, too, because you always have the injury bug coming around. You have
that injury bug. And Rashad Bateman, who's the quote-unquote number one, always injured. Odell Beckham has had injuries. Zay Flowers might be the only show in town for Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson's fast. Zay Flowers is 4.42 fast. We're talking about a guy that's going to get big snaps, right? Fantasy football, my mom used to tell me this, Joe. You tell me if you agree, brother. My mom used to tell me success is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yep.
Right? Zay Flowers is prepared, right? He has the speed. He's been a top college wide receiver. He's a first-round pick. The team has bought in. A first-round pick is not easy to come by. They're bought in. They only have an aging Odell. They have a hurt Rashad Bateman who has not done much with the first being the number one guy there in Baltimore. Zay Flowers is a pick in every draft I'm doing, best ball, redraft, keeper, dynasty. I'm telling you now, I am not leaving my draft without Zay Flowers. He is one of my ride or dies this year. I'm dying on that hill because if he finishes in a wide receiver 40, you're still beating the value from what he's getting drafted. If he finishes wide receiver 50, I mean, the guy is getting absolutely disrespected for being a first-round pick in an offense that, again, does not pass much. But this late, round 11 or 12, possibly even going to 13 if you have players that don't know who the hell he is, you're talking about a guy that could get massive upside. And a keeper, I would definitely take him because you can keep him next year. Dynasty, keep him on your roster. I think Zay Flowers is going to have better of a year. Right now, ESPN has him projected for only 689 yards, 53 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. There's no reason a number one wide receiver can't get more than 53 receptions, more than 689 yards, 6 touchdowns. Seems pretty reasonable to me. If you push 7 or 8, we're talking about an absolute great wide receiver. So that's another pick I really like. What do you think about it, brother?
Zay Flowers, I think he has all the tools you need. He's going to be a talented rookie, no doubt, you know. But beyond that, I mean, he has all the tools already to be a quality slot receiver.
Yes.
You know, but the only thing that kind of, you know, I think people look at is the depth chart, you know, when it comes to, I guess, how many touches is he going to get?
Right. How many? Yeah. What's the target share look like?
Yeah.
But in a depth chart that has Rashad Bateman, who, to be honest, guys, Odell Beckham is the first Baltimore Raven getting drafted in ESPN drafts only because of his name. Yeah. It's not because he's the number one. I mean, he might be, but
he's a big gamble, though, because you look and see what his career was when he was with the Giants. probably playing at his peak. You know? Then after the injury, kind of dropped off. Then he goes to the was it the Chargers?
No, it was the Browns.
The Browns. Then they trade him, and then he went on.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I mean, nobody goes to Cleveland by choice.
No, not by choice.
No. Besides Deshaun Watson, but
yeah,
you get enough happy endings, you're going to end up in Cleveland.
Yeah, and then he goes to his other team. Was it the Rams or something like that?
Yeah.
Right? He goes to the Rams. Doesn't make much noise over there.
Wins a Super Bowl.
He wins a Super Bowl.
That's good for him.
But he was injured again.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, probably one of his better years outside of New York was with the Rams. And even then, it wasn't super fantasy relevant.
Yeah.
And so
but I guess he can finally have the acronym, though. I am a Super Bowl champion.
He is. He is. And I think, you look at Zay Flowers, though, if Odell Beckham is your biggest competition, on paper, it sounds bigger than I think in real life, right? He's one of those guys on paper is more exciting than what you see on tape. The eye test tells you Odell Beckham is taking a step back from the original Odell, and Rashad Bateman has not passed any eye test to my knowledge, besides being a downfield threat, and only when he's healthy. Lamar doesn't pass super hardcore downfield. I think Zay Flowers at slot has an absolute prime opportunity.
You're going to pick Flowers. He's going to be your WR3.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5. It depends where you're going in your draft, right? But that late, at around 12, you should already have your starters basically lined up. He's just going to be either flex or somebody on your bench. And if he's on your bench, even better, stash him, see what you can get, see what happens. And if you're in a keeper or dynasty draft, just take the risk. So with that, that's another one of mine. I only have a few more. And then we're going to get into some nasty picks, some nasty ones that like I'm disgusted even in myself that I'm looking at.
Man.
But next up, I told you we'd be talking about the Seahawks. Dog. I'm just being real with you guys. You guys are fucking playing yourself right now. All right. If you're playing in fantasy football, you're disrespecting Gino Smith. All right.
Oh, man.
Let me tell you why. Gino Smith last year, top 10 quarterback, wasn't even, at all bad. Had, I think, the most accurate passer rating in the league. Go fact check me, somebody, but I'm almost positive his accuracy rating was ridiculous. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Joe Garcia, my boy, could throw to those two and be a top 10 quarterback. They're incredible wide receivers.
Yeah, they are.
You got Kenneth Walker. You got Zach Charbonnet, who we know is a pass catcher. And you have Jackson Smith and Jigba, possibly the most talented wide receiver in this draft class. You have a solid line. You have the 12th man hyping you up there in Seattle. This is a absolute dominant league-changing pick. Last year, you got him off the waiver wire. This year, he probably will be there again in dumbass drafts, right? And people that don't know or don't watch football or don't play fantasy, I'm telling you now, Gino Smith has the opportunity to again be a top 10 quarterback, and he's going almost undrafted. This guy is going super duper late. Now, you can take shots on other players. Like I said, this conversation is about sleepers that not many people are talking about. You've heard the Anthony Richardsons. I don't got to talk about him. He's a rookie quarterback. He's basically Lamar Jackson meets Cam Newton. He's very dominant, not as fast as Lamar, but very big, dominant guy. You're seeing the camp stuff. He doesn't pass worth a crap, but you don't need anybody to pass to if you have him and Jonathan Taylor if he's happy.
You got his legs too, man. Dude, 366 rushing yards, bro.
Yeah, no, Anthony Richardson's dominant, but Gino Smith, yes, his legs are there.
Yeah.
Gino Smith is a dominant quarterback for fantasy football. He's really, really good. He's finally getting his flowers. Our boy Christopher Leha just commented over there too. Gino Smith is a dog. I agree. Gino Smith was one of the best quarterbacks last year for fantasy, and you got him for basically nothing. And guess how much he cost this year? Basically nothing. He is a quarterback right now that is going behind Daniel Jones, behind Tua, before Anthony Richardson. He's going in that Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers-esque. All three of those guys could be top 10 quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was last year. Gino Smith was last year. Do not miss out on opportunity because of the namesake, right? You're looking at big names. If you miss out on Jalen Hurts, if you miss out on Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Pat Mahomes,
Dak Prescott,
Josh Allen, shut up. If you're taking Dak Prescott, you're taking stress levels to the maximum. I'm fine with taking Dak Prescott. He'll probably be a top 10 quarterback too. I just don't want to stress out and have my dad stressing me out about every misplay
but
he
them
has.
picks are going to hurt you, man.
Gino Smith, if you had to guess, where did Gino Smith finish rank-wise in fantasy football? If you just a wild guess.
If I wild guess, I'd say he'd probably be up there around, maybe out of the top 10.
Yes.
But
So
still,
you think he's like a top 11 quarterback?
I think
fantasy football.
Fantasy football wise, I think he'd at least be in the top 20. No
Gino
doubt.
Smith was number 5
really
last year for fantasy football quarterbacks.
Wow,
number 5. He put up major points. Now, can he do it again? Who knows? He put up 303 fantasy points last year. Dominant.
He had 30 touchdowns.
Dude, he had and only 11 interceptions, right? And then he had, season, I mean, like you said, he had 68 carries. That's a lot for a quarterback too. Now they're projecting this year to go down 271 yards. I think he can go 290 at the very least. So my thing is, if he can go 290 and he was a top 5 pick, a top 5 quarterback last year, why couldn't he be a top 8, a top 9, a top 7 quarterback this year? Gino Smith is somebody you should be targeting because he's going late. A lot of your guys are only going to be taking 1 quarterback, maybe 2, right? He's going in right before Jared Goff, before Kenny Pickett.
Look at his yardage too. Yes, last season he was like at 4,282 yards,
dude,
thrown.
I mean, Kirk Cousins was number 8, and he was in a Vikings offense that is absolutely dominant. You want to talk about other players in that realm? Lamar Jackson was 14, right? Justin Herbert, who was supposed to have the breakout year, was number 11. Gino Smith finished higher than all these guys. I love me some Gino Smith. Give me Gino Smith. Before we go on, I have 3 more players to talk about. And before we do that, let's recognize some of our sponsors once again. Mudslingers. Our boys at Mudslingers, the best coffee shop. Drive-through coffee shop here in San Antonio. Do not miss out on good coffee. Go support local. The mini donuts. Tell them Brandon Medina and Joe Garcia sent you. I mean, it is an absolutely incredible establishment. Another great follow on Twitter, on social media. Mudslingers, go check them out. They're there in Thousand Oaks. They are local, family owned and operated. Delicious, and it's a neighborhood coffee shop. Go support local. Mudslingers open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You have time. It's only 11:45, baby. Go get yourself some coffee, some mini donuts. Start the day right. Start the new school year right for all you guys going back to school tomorrow, for all your sons, your daughters, your kids, grandkids, all that good stuff. Check them out. Mudslingers, go grab some coffee tomorrow or today or whenever you feel like it, because it's the best damn coffee shop in San Antonio. Bear County Social Apparel, another great sponsor of the show. And I want to say good friends. I feel like me and Bear County are, compadres at this point, because I'm buying merch, and then I'm also talking with them constantly on everything on Twitter. And so Spurs merch, UTSA merch. This is the last Saturday without college football, baby. So, I mean, get your UTSA merch before we get into the league and get into the times of football. Cowboys merch over there. Brahmas merch. Go check out all things San Antonio, all things pop culture. They have the El Alien shirt, incredible shirt. It looks just like your Loteria boards that your mom used to play. They have everything from Spurs gear to UTSA gear, Brahmas gear, all that. Get your Wimby merch, get your Spurs merch, get your UTSA stuff, and get everything through Bear County Social Apparel. Very much sponsors of the show, but friends first. Really, really appreciate them. And Mad Pecker Brewing, Tesla Road, 6025 Tesla Road. Monday through Thursday, 4 to 10 p.m., Friday through Saturday, 12 p.m. to 11. We're going to be there next Sunday. That's going to be 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. So right after the show, they're going to be freshly open. Sunday, next week, the 27th, we'll be there. Mad Pecker Brewing. We'll buy your first drink. We'll have a fun time. We'll share some great appetizers, some good vibes, and hopefully do a draft to those interested. Go hit up Joe or myself. Hit me up at Big Poppy Brandon M if you're interested in drafting with us in the Fantasy Gods draft. Myself, Rudy, and Joe will be in that. Joe, hit up Joe at 2 Shots Podcast on Twitter. Make sure you hit us up and say, I want in. I can beat the Fantasy Gods. And we'll see you at Mad Pecker Brewing, because I'm going to be there munching out on that giant pretzel, munching out on wings, drinking L's and IPAs. And I mean, just absolutely having myself a Mad Pecker time, baby. So make sure you go meet us out there, 6025 Tesla Road, Mad Pecker Brewing, the title sponsor of the one and only Fantasy Gods. So, Joe, we got to end this on a dirty note, Joe.
Oh, look at there. Speaking of dirty, look at Christopher Leha.
Ooh, hey, Christopher Leha, good friend of the show, brother. Man, listen, Chris, his brother said he's whooping the Fantasy Gods ass to a pulse. Is it Pope or Pulse? I don't know what's going on.
It's Pope.
It's Pope, Chris. It's Pope. But, Chris, Tell your brother and you, Chris. I'm calling you out, brother. Right? I'm giving you the Hulk Hogan, you, brother. Calling you out. Come join us at Mad Pecker Brewing next Sunday, the 27th. We'll have a fun time, man. Catch up, have some drinks, have some, some brews, have some pretzels. The pretzels there.
Just a word of caution, man. When you pull up to Mad Pecker, don't be asking for no Miller Lights.
No, come on.
I want a Dos Equis.
Nah.
It's craft beer, man.
Craft beer, baby. This is. And when you pull up to Mad Pecker, don't have your pecker out. Don't get arrested. So with that, here's some nasty ones, some late ones, some ones that are going absolutely way, way, way back. So we're going to start off with an unfamiliar name, followed by a familiar one. Chris said, you know what I meant. We're going to start off with an unfamiliar name first, and then we're going to go into one that maybe is familiar, but is not getting as much respect this year. You ready to roll, sir?
Let's go.
Romeo Doubs of the Green Bay Packers. Man. It's getting late. We're getting late, dog. Right?
Oh, man.
Romeo Doubs is somebody I really, really like this season. Somebody who I think has, again, potential and opportunity. And that's what you're looking for in fantasy football. Romeo Doubs, my cousin Josh is probably listening right now. He's a huge fan of the show and always talking trash to me and sniping picks whenever we do mock drafts. So, but
you're going late with that
dude,
one, dude.
We're going late. I'm talking about undrafted late. Romeo Doubs. This is round 16, round 18 in that range, right? He's going behind Deuce Vaughn, Romeo Doubs in live drafts. Romeo Doubs, let me ask you a question, brother. Are we 100%? I'm asking you as a fan, as a knowledgeable football fanatic, are we that in and 100% knowledgeable that Christian Watson is the clear-cut number one for Green Bay? A second-year rookie, a second-year wideout is the clear-cut number one for Jordan Love.
I think you'd have to say yes, man.
Okay, if that's the case, right, Christian Watson is a very, very good player. He is going in round 5, round 6 turn, right? Number 51 pick according to ESPN Live Draft Trends, Christian Watson. So we're talking about round 5, round 6, Christian Watson, go snag him, go get him, right? Romeo Doubs is going pick 188 in the 19th round. You don't even have a 19th round. He is undrafted, right? Or he can be your last pick, your 60th round. Take your defense first. Take your kicker.
He ain't even on the board.
He's not on the board. When you look at best available, he ain't even on there. So look at round 16, right? Round 15. Now these are live draft trends that could change. Most likely he'll be there round 15, round 16 in your drafts. But you're talking about somebody who's going after your defense, after your kicker, your absolute last pick that you could drop and not give a shit about. Romeo Doubs caught a touchdown in preseason from Jordan Love. All the camp. I look at camp a lot. I follow a lot of different reporters. If you're looking at following anybody for advice when it comes to fantasy football or football in general, I would highly suggest looking at 32 beat writers. They follow all 32 NFL teams. It's at 32 beat writers on Twitter. Go check them out. They do great work. But Romeo Doubs has got a lot of love in camp, not just this year, last year, right? When Rodgers was there and Jordan Love was doing his thing, Romeo Doubs was Jordan Love's almost favorite target, right? Christian Watson has more talent. Nobody's denying that. But would you rather spend, I'm asking you, Joe, as a fantasy player, would you rather spend a 5th, 6th round pick on Christian Watson? Or would you rather use that for another running back, a top tier quarterback, right? Somebody that's going to be, you're looking at Breece Halls, DJ Moores. You're looking at the Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Dallas Goedert, Trevor Lawrence's of the world. I just don't see. I can see the value of Christian Watson if he is good and he is that guy. But realistically, Jordan Love hasn't played enough football for us to know his preference, right? We don't know. Because even when Devontae Adams was Devontae Adams for Aaron Rodgers, Randall Cobb still got some play. You know what I mean? Yeah. Other players still got some play. This is going to be I feel could possibly be with this late of a pick. You'll have Christian Watson 1A and maybe Romeo Doubs 1B. I think they might be kind of, a hit or miss on weeks. I think Christian Watson's going to be more consistent, but for best ball specifically, if you're drafting just for a year-long draft and that's it, I think Romeo Doubs is huge. I think dynasty Romeo Doubs is an absolute value. But I mean, you're talking about from going from round 5, round 6 to round 16 to 18. I mean, that's a 10 to 12 round difference.
Yeah.
I think the value for Romeo Doubs is there for him to possibly be a fantasy asset that could be a wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4, fills in on bye weeks, but a very viable option.
I think he could be, and not only that, but I think if you go back and you look at what he did last season, I think it was kind of hampered by injury.
Yep.
Because I think he played something like 13 games or maybe less than that.
Yeah, I mean,
with the injury, but the thing is that he has an upside as well, and he's had a strong preseason. So, I mean, he's definitely somebody, like you said, you can have him, you can probably get him and nobody's going to know who he is.
Yep.
He's not even going to be on the board. That's one of those that you'd be like, hey, I got a guy. Yep. I know a guy. I got a guy.
So, yeah. And
secret stash.
Secret stash. Yeah. It's underneath the covers. You got to look. So, but prior to the injury, right, in week 9, he had an injury, you're right. Prior to that, though, I mean, he was handling 6.1 targets a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that could definitely go up with Jordan Love. He has a great offensive role. He's definitely lined up for a good one. The wide receiver depth chart there is just it's not proven. It's an unproven depth chart. Christian Watson is there. You have Jaden Reed, the rookie there. I think he has an absolute shot to be effective in the passing game. And I think with Jordan Love replacing that, I think it's worth the flyer. You're taking him as your last pick. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about, again, this show, like I said from the beginning, we're not talking about sleepers that We're talking about late, nasty ones. Here's another one for you. We said we're going to start with an unfamiliar name, and then we're going to go to an absolutely familiar one that, again, is getting disrespected, and I do not know why. Tell me if you heard this one, man. Tyler Boyd.
I haven't heard
since
that
Cincinnati. Tyler Boyd, somebody who's been very fantasy relevant in the past. Tyler Boyd is going in the 14th to 15th round, super duper late. He's the wide receiver 3 for your Cincinnati Bengals. He's been fantasy relevant before. I mean, he's finished in, the top 30s, top 40s almost every single year. He finished wide receiver 38 last year and is getting drafted in the 14th, 15th round. That's a wide receiver 3, man. I mean, I think it really is an opportunity for him to be dominant. He's cleared 5 TDs only once in his career. I could see it possibly going more, but the thing with Tyler Boyd is you're taking him late, 14th round, 13th round, something like that. If Jamar Chase goes down, you have a huge fantasy option now. If T. Higgins goes down, a huge fantasy option. That's a weekly play. That's a set and forget. In 11 full games with Higgins and Jamar Chase, he definitely had struggled here and there. But whenever they are injured, he has held a 15 to 20% target share. That's a massive upside. As the wide receiver 3, I like it. He could be in the flex discussion. It's a high passing volume offense. I love it. I'm in on it. Tyler Boyd is somebody I'm drafting as well. And he's going with Kadarius Toney and Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is dead to me. I don't even know who is that man. That man is in my fantasy graveyard along with Myles Gaskin. I hate both of those guys. They ruined fantasy leagues for so many people. But he's going around that with Kadarius Toney, Darnell Mooney, who both of them did nothing, had maybe a season here, a game there. Kadarius Toney very much unproven. Darnell Mooney shouldn't even be getting drafted. But I really think Tyler Boyd has an opportunity to be very, very good. So I like him too, and I think it's a great asset to your fantasy roster.
Yeah, I think so too. And if you look at the projections from some of the fantasy football outlets out there, some of the interesting stats that stand out to me is his projections. So this upcoming season, he's projected to get or catch 55 of 60 of his targets.
Mm-hmm.
And also he's between 650 to 675 yards for touchdowns, as part of a, as far as what his projections are for the upcoming season. So not bad.
Yeah, only 4 touchdowns projected on ESPN. I think he hits that. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, the passing offense that much, right? An offense that passes that much. I like it. I know we have a question from Chris as well. He said, what's the buy-in for the league, or is it for fun? Listen, I think if we do a best ball draft, right? A best ball one, because that's going to prove to me how good are you at fantasy. Anybody can pick up a waiver wire ad. That's easy money. Anybody can say, man, this dude's doing really good. Let me add him to my team. A best ball draft is drafting one time, and you do not set lineups. You draft, and that is your roster for the entirety of the year. And how it goes is it absolutely picks the best players at each position on your team that scored the highest, and that's your team for the week. So you're going to make sure there's weeks in fantasy, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Damn, I started Dak and I should have started, XYZ, anybody else, right?
Man, if you're the
Gino
Cowboys
Smith.
and you're running with Dak, who's
Yeah.
your QB too?
Yeah,
we saw him yesterday.
You had Dak, right? You have Dak, and then I have Gino Smith on the bench. Gino Smith went off, and I missed all those points because I started Dak. And best ball, you're not missing anything. It's going to start the highest scorer of your team in each position to make sure you have the highest total. I love best ball. I just started doing this year. I think we're going to do a best ball draft for the fantasy gods, just so that the thing is everybody has so many leagues they're in, right, Joe? Everybody. Right. We don't want to put a burden on you. We want to see how good are you at fantasy. I don't need to worry about you picking up waiver wire ads along with everybody else in your leagues because you might have 4 leagues, 3 leagues, 6 leagues, right? You might be Rudy Campos who goes like 16 leagues. The dude's nutso. But you might have a lot of leagues. I don't want you stressed out about, oh, no, the fantasy gods beat me to the waiver wire. That's why I suck. I don't want no excuses, bro. You draft your players that you keep throughout the entire year. I love that, and it has the best scoring because you're going to get the highest score every week. Best ball draft. What do you think, Joe? Should we do $25 buy-in? Just has something to play for the fans?
Man.
$25 buy-in, nothing too crazy. Just a lunch date with your wife, maybe at Chipotle, baby. Give that up to the wife to go make some food, or you make some food, and then jump in the fantasy football draft with your boys, the Fantasy Gods. That's going to be next week on the 27th. Now, I got 2 more for you, Joe, real quick. They're going to go fast. 1 more for you. Sorry. It's a nasty one, Joe. It's the nastiest one of the day.
Okay.
And it's disgusting because I don't even want to say it. I'm going to get crucified for it. People are going to hate me for it, and they're going to be like, what the hell were you watching last year? How is this guy no fantasy football? But it just makes sense, bro. It just doesn't make sense. Russell Wilson, brother. No. Oh, it's gross. It's gross. It's gross. It's nasty.
I'm going to look him up.
It's
What's
nasty.
his projections, man?
Russell Wilson was basura. Say it with me, Joe. Basura.
Basura, dude, for real.
Trash. 16 last year when it came to rankings for quarterbacks. He wasn't good, right? Had an injury, but overall, one of his worst seasons we've seen. Only 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Couldn't get it done. This year, ESPN's projecting him for 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. I think he can go past that, especially with Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. He also loves Greg Dulcich, his tight end. If Javonte Williams comes back, I like that too. We have Sean Payton now. Sean Payton lets you sling the rock for the most part. We saw it with Drew Brees. We saw it with Jameis. He let him throw crazy too. I think Russell Wilson has an opportunity to finish strong on his career. You're drafting him again, like we talked about with some of the other guys. We talked about with Cortland Sutton, the other Denver Bronco.
Yeah.
You are drafting Russell Wilson at his absolute floor, at the worst he's ever been in fantasy football. This is a guy, normally, in years past, you remember, Joe, we're talking about a top 8 quarterback, top 7 quarterback in fantasy every single year for years and years and years and years. He has one bad season and ready to say Russell Wilson's trash. Listen, anybody who backs Sierra to me is not trash. So all I'm saying is Russell Wilson is somebody that maybe shouldn't be your quarterback 1, but in a best ball league, like we're doing, wink, wink, Russell Wilson could be viable because he might have a few big games. And if he's your quarterback 2, which he should be, he's going after Anthony Richardson, who's literally never played a game for the Colts. He's going in front of Kenny Pickett, who was awful last year, but he's going behind Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Gino Smith. Again, I prefer those guys. I think Gino Smith and Kirk Cousins are 2 people I prefer over Russell Wilson. But if Russell Wilson's there late and you're like, damn, if you're Joe or me, it's round 14, 15, and you're saying, I need a second quarterback, bro. What if I'm taking somebody that has Dak Prescott-esque tendencies, right?
Yeah.
And I need another nasty. If you already picked Dak Prescott, you picked a nasty pick, right? Could be great, could be basura. Why not just get a little nastier? Take Russell Wilson, see what happens, because fantasy football is all about taking risks, taking long shots, and taking opportunities where they fall to you. So we wish you the best in your fantasy football drafts. That's going to be coming up, I'm sure, a lot next week and the week after. The league is only like 2.5 weeks away. We're hyped up. We hope you're hyped up. Again, Joe, August 27th, you and I are going to be at Matt Pecker drinking a few brews, having some good eats. Well, Rudy's going to be out there too. We're going to have a good time. Come out. $25 buy-in, best ball fantasy football draft. We'll figure out where we're going to do it, probably on Sleeper or one of these apps. We'll make sure we can get that stuff started for you guys. Have some fun. Have a drink. We'll buy you a drink. We'll talk fantasy. We'll talk life. But most importantly, we'll be supporting local, supporting our sponsors, and supporting the show, man. So Matt Pecker Brewing, August 27th. We'll see you there. Any last words, Joe?
No, man. Go Cowboys.
Go How about him? Hey, listen, have a wonderful Sunday. Go get your barbacoa on Big Red. Go make sure you hang out with your family. Enjoy the school year for you and your family. If you have little ones, if you work in the school district, if you're a teacher, admin, whatever, have a wonderful year. We'll talk to you soon next week, August 27th. Fantasy God, same place, same time, and right after, Matt Pecker Brewing. We'll see you there. Peace.